Hi everyone, welcome to our talk on human-centred and creative computing. And I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners from the lands from which we're meeting here today, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri peoples, and pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and acknowledge that First Peoples are our first technologists and our first inventors and our first designers.
G'day folks, my name's Charles Martin from the School of Computer Science here at the ANU. I'm just going to talk a bit about our overall conception of what human-centred and creative computing is and will be at the ANU. So we're in the process of building out, I guess, what we could call a stream of study programs, a collection of courses which we've been running, putting them together into programs, and we really hope that students like you folks will take these courses and our sub-programs and really enjoy it. What's the point of this? The idea is to get computing students engaging deeply with the creative arts, with humanities, with design, with social sciences, with the environment, with the world around them, and to really work out how computing links in to those other fields of knowledge. So you can see on the slide our spiel about this. It's a stream through computing emphasizing engagement with HCI, creative arts, humanities, and we focus on users of technologies, the people using computers, because computers aren't really important unless people use them. And we're looking at their context, so the world they live in, their social place, the environments that they stand in, and their place in history. Our focus in our coursework is on design, making new things, and the future possibilities of emerging computing systems. And the ultimate goal is, of what we hope that students will be able to do, is to create computing systems that change people's lives for the better in lots of different ways.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I'm Penny Kyburz. My interests, as you may gather, are around video games. So just want to tell you a bit about myself. So I worked for about 10 years as a professional video game developer, and now I've come to ANU and I'm very excited to be creating a new course in game development to run next year for the first time. So you can see some of the games that I've worked on up on the screen. So some games like the BioShock series, Total War series, if any of you are games fans out there. So yeah, I'm really interested in video games and everything related to video games, particularly interested in, from a research perspective, looking at human-computer interaction, understanding the player experience and game enjoyment, understanding kind of what drives people, what motivates them, not just in games, but how game-like elements can be leveraged in other contexts as well, which you might call gamification or gameful design. And also, my research is a lot around AI and human-AI interaction, human-machine teaming. And yeah, I like to play, design, think, research, and talk a lot about games. So you can find a bit more about me on the ANU website as well. And now I will pass to Jen.
Hi, so I was really excited to come and do this talk to you because I was sitting where you were some 10 years ago attending ANU Open Day and really excited to enrol in my ANU degree. So I studied a double degree in arts and IT at the ANU, majoring in anthropology and information systems. And then I went to Queensland and did my doctoral studies co-designing talking soft toys to support the revitalisation of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander languages. Now I'm back at the ANU, really excited to be teaching our HCI course, which I'll talk a little bit about later. And when I'm not doing HCI things, I'm making mosaics and learning how to fly.
Hi folks, Charles Martin, introducing myself again, School of Computing. I'm a deep cover computer musician, teaching computer science and researching computer science for the last 10 or so years. I am super interested in music technology, that's my field of research. I'm really interested in performing music in different ways, creating new kinds of musical instruments using computers and bringing them to new audiences of musicians and audiences of music. I am super interested in performing music with percussion. That's my main instrument, percussion and drums. And I also enjoy coding iPad apps to create music. And what else do I do? I enjoy playing Zelda games. I'm not a game developer, and I'm not much of a, I guess I played BioShock, but back in the day. But I play Zelda games over and over and over, which is my pastime. I teach courses in art and interaction computing, as well as sound and music computing.
So now we'll tell you a bit more about the courses that we teach.
I get to speak again. So this course is first because it's a first-year elective course. It's called Art and Interaction Computing. Its code is Comp 1720, which is the undergraduate version. Comp 6720 is the postgraduate version. This course is run every year in semester 2 for quite a long time, more than 10 years now. And it's a course in creating interactive artworks with computers. And it seems like kind of a wild thing that you would have as a computer science first-year elective. But we find that this gives students from all around the ANU, not just computer science majors, but including them, a way to get started with coding. If they've never coded before, this is a course that is completely open to folks. We teach you from the ground up. And if you already have some experience coding, that's great. You can use that experience to continue your journey and continue really understanding how computers and art can interact. So the point is to do creative and open-ended assessment tasks. All of the assignments are create an artwork. The first artwork that they just got back a few weeks ago was create a monster that moves. And this week's artwork that they're submitting on Monday is to create a workstation that's interactive and provides a rewarding experience or a model of a workstation. And it's up to the students' imagination what kind of workstation they pick. And then at the end of the semester, all of the students do a major project, which is supposed to be an interactive piece lasting for about 3 minutes, and we have an online exhibition of all of their artworks. So it's something which is unusual for a computer science school to have a first-year course that focuses on art, but it's a really wonderful course. It's a wonderful way of getting some practice with coding as well as building a creative identity. And it's kind of the foundation stone for our human-centered and creative computing program. I get to speak again. We should have had a different order. Sound and music computing. My research field is music technology. So another thing that I'm super interested in teaching is working with folks on how to create new music with computers, how to create new kinds of musical instruments, and to understand the technical backings of how to do that, which means understanding digital synthesis, digital signal processing, how we work with sample files, digital audio in the computer space, and different kinds of programming systems that support that. So sound and music computing is a course that I've been teaching with some colleagues for about 4 years as a special topic. And the good news is that it's just graduated from being a special topic to being its own course with a special course code. And it's actually a 4th-year undergraduate course, or 3rd or 4th year, and an 8,000 level postgraduate unit. So it's the kind of thing that students would take later in their undergraduate education, or perhaps in the 2nd semester or 2nd year of their masters, if they're doing a master's program.
Comp 3900 and Comp 6390 is our flagship human-computer interaction course. And human-computer interaction is not just about the design of technology, but also the ways that humans use technology and making sure that the technologies we design are fit with people's needs and contexts and practices. So in this course, students learn about fundamental concepts in HCI, such as usability, the user experience. We look at social, emotional, and cognitive lenses and theories on technology design. Then students engage in a user-centered design process to investigate a particular technology use space or a design situation, and then come up with their own new technology design idea through ideation, learn how to prototype that, and evaluate their new technology design. In this course, we also investigate the environmental and ethical dimensions of technology design and use.
So as I mentioned before, I'm really excited that I have the opportunity to create a new game development course here at ANU. I've created game development courses at a couple of other universities before, and this will be ANU's first games-focused course. And so anyone who's done a couple of second-year courses will be able, computing courses, so who've got some foundations in programming, will be able to take this game development course. And so this will be a combination of design and development. I'm going to use the Unity games engine, which is one of the top 2 commercial game development engines. Unity is particularly popular with independent or smaller game developers as well. So it's a bit easier to access kind of financially, and also a bit of a better starting point, particularly if you're looking at 2D games. So I'm going to bring in a lot of my industry experience and my industry friends as well to sort of have a real strong flavour of what it's like to be a game developer and informing the learning process with real game development practice. So I'm going to include aspects of sort of fundamental game design, looking at things like, what does it mean to create, design an immersive, engaging game experience from a player's perspective, and also looking at kind of the key concepts, the key approaches and elements of developing a video game. So what does that whole pipeline look like? What sort of things do you need to pull on to implement an interface, a game loop, a game state, game AI, bringing it all together, sound and graphics as well, to create the full experience. And so another interest area of mine is augmented and virtual reality, so we'll have a look a bit at those technologies as well. So obviously they kind of build on game development practices and game engines, and so there's a nice kind of link in there too if you're interested in looking at other interface formats. And the best thing of all, you get to design and develop your own game. So at the end of the course, you'll have an appreciation for what it means to develop a game from start to end. Might be quite a small game, but then you could take that forwards. You could publish that game. You could work with some friends to develop it out and have a real product. One of the great things at the moment now is that it's much easier for an independent developer, just one person even, to create and publish a game on a platform like Steam or on Apple or Android. So I hope that you'll come and take this course with me. So we also have a 4th year computer graphics course that's been running for quite a few years already, and this is more looking at the technical side of what does it mean to implement graphics that can be used in video games or in film and animation or lots of different formats. And so this is kind of more of a deep dive into the engine itself, looking at rendering and different sorts of techniques. So I don't actually teach this one. One of my advanced PhD students is teaching this one at the moment, and he's got a real passion and excitement for graphics programming, which he's been working on for many years. We're particularly looking at OpenGL and Java for this course, and constantly updating it so that it follows modern practices and technologies. One of the other exciting things that we've been doing this year is working on a new set of what we call sub-programs. So this is ways to study human-centered and creative computing at ANU. And this is brand new, starting next year. So if you're coming to ANU next year, this is something that you could enroll in and look forward to. And so this builds on all of the different courses that we've talked about so far, as well as some extra courses that we haven't discussed as well. And so whether you're going into a Bachelor of Information Technology, a Bachelor of Advanced Computing, a Masters of Computing, you'll have access to the sub-programs to give you a minor, a major, or a specialization in human-centered and creative computing. Probably the easiest thing to do is to pop on the website and sort of look what these programs have, but we also draw on a lot of other courses from around the university that are different ways of thinking about people and how they interact with technology. So you get a really nice broad foundation, and then you can move into specializations in sound or graphics or video game development. Does that cover it?
So our final slide for this presentation, and we will open up for Q&A as well, is looking at some myths and misconceptions. And the reason that I was really keen to include this at the end of the presentation is that I had a lot of ideas about computing at the time that I enrolled in my degree and when I was trying to decide what program to do, and that a lot of those were misconceptions that I had that I found out later weren't actually correct. So I just wanted to come back here and tell you what I wish I had known 10 years ago when I was thinking about enrolling in a computing degree. And one of those things was the fact that as a high school student or college student, I was not particularly confident in maths. I didn't do any maths subject at all in Year 12. I just wasn't confident in it. I didn't feel like I was very good at it. And then I thought that probably computing wasn't for me because I wasn't strong in maths. And so I didn't originally enroll in a computing degree, but at the last minute, just before I decided I wanted to change my enrolment because I really did enjoy doing web development and coding in my spare time, but I didn't study it at school. And so I did a math bridging course at ANU College and then started in my studies in computing at the ANU. And I just wanted to say that having a foundation in math is quite important. It's something that we teach as part of our degrees, and having a background in statistics can be useful in doing work with machine learning or quantitative HCI research. But if math isn't your passion and you don't feel particularly confident in that area, there are areas of computing, such as the work that I do, that are not particularly math heavy or math focused. So there are lots of different disciplines within computing, and they all draw on different backgrounds and strengths and involve different skills. And you don't have to have a background in creative computing or HCI to study our courses or our sub-programs. Coming into the degree or coming into our courses, we teach you everything you need to know. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to?
You might wonder, if you're coming into this course, what will I get to make? What will I get to make? And all of the courses that we've shown you have really quite significant major projects as the outputs. So all of these are courses that have final assessments that are projects, and they all have divergent assessments. So all of the students are asked to really invent what they're going to do in their assessment tasks. And that's true of HCI, right? You're inventing design probes. It's true of art and interaction computing, even a first-year course. It's true of sound and music computing, true of computer graphics, and definitely true of game design development when it is existent. So at the end of your course in this field, you'll likely have a portfolio that has a range of different significant computing projects that are all related to creative arts, games, HCI in some way. So it's a little bit different than taking a creative arts course, something like doing graphics for film and screen, or doing game dev as a design student, because you'll be working on one portfolio, building up one specific skill set. In our programs, we're really aiming to have students take a range of courses and gain small projects in a number of things, but they'll all be really strong computing projects. So you'll have a portfolio of code that you've written, of design work that you've completed and conceived of and implemented. And it will be something which is really strong and something which you can stand in front of a recruiter or a job interview and say, look at what I made. And that is what we aim for our students to be able to do. You should do one.
I was just going to add on to that having worked as someone who was hiring people into the games industry, the number one thing that you need to get a job as a game developer is to show something that you've built. And so it's a really important thing, having this portfolio that you build up over your course, because you can say, this is the game that I made, or this is the art or music project that I made, and you can talk about it in depth, and you can point to something real, tangible that you've done.
Something else I'd like to point out is that doing a double degree can be a real strength and advantage when it comes to doing human-centered and creative computing, particularly because our courses connect with areas such as psychology, anthropology, sociology, design, music, and having a double degree with arts, in my case, was really advantageous in terms of the kind of qualitative design research that I now do. So we might open it up to questions if anyone has any questions.
It was just one of the questions on the screen. What sort of jobs can the HCCC studies lead to?
Penny, careers.
So as we've talked a bit about already, if you're interested in game development or other sorts of fields, there's a lot of things now that build on skills in game development, because these immersive technologies are becoming increasingly prevalent in other industries as well. So, I talk to people who work in architecture or other sorts of real-world fields that require or benefit from having models of in a virtual world to have a look at first. Even sort of tourism, virtual tourism into the places that you might go. It's increasingly expanding how you can use these technologies. And that's just from a game development perspective. So I might throw to you both to talk about potential careers.
Other perspectives. I think what I will say is there's certainly many careers in specific creative industries that you could target if you were looking at these specializations and sub-programs. But what I want you to remember, these are computing programs. So if you take this, you get to have all of the fun of pursuing a creative art, but you're also building the really strong technical background as a computing student to do all of the jobs that are available to folks with a computing education. And I think that any employer would be really pleased to have someone who can make connections between computing, users, and their context. And that's really what we're looking at a high level, the users of computers and the context, whether it's in the arts or other parts of society. And so you would make any other computing job better by having these specializations. That's my argument anyway, as well as the, yeah. My boss is giving me a round of applause for that one, but yeah, so.
You can also go into a career in research as well. So if you wanted to do, for example, research in industry, you might go into a role such as a user experience researcher or a user researcher. But the three of us have gone on to academic careers in computing, and that's something I didn't think about until towards the end of my degree. But if you're interested in looking at an academic or a research path, you can study an honours degree and then look at pathways into master's programs, Masters of Philosophy or Doctor of Philosophy, and that's where you can do a PhD and then go on to an exciting academic career in computing as well.
I'm going to have another go too. I was just going to say, jumping off what Charles was saying, having the creative skills that you'll build during this program is fundamental to any job that you'll do, so in computing or otherwise. So personally, I find that programming is very, very creative, and I absolutely love the combination that comes from working directly in creative industry fields, but combined with technical creativity as well. And so this will make you a very well-rounded, and highly skilled creative technical person, which, is enviable for any potential employer.
Would ANU provide any opportunities for students with networking within the tech industry or with internships?
I can answer that. So conveniently, I run ANU Computing's internship program, and so we do actually directly organise internship placements for our students, and so we have a wide range of different host organisations that are very, very keen to employ our students or take on our students for internships, and a lot of these students do then go on to get offered jobs as a result of these, not just where they've done the placement, but in other places as well. And so as well as the internship program, we actually have what we call the Tech Launcher program, which is another final year project, which you do in a team, and you work with an industry client as well. So all of our students have an opportunity to choose between Tech Launcher or internships and have that industry-linked, real-world transitional opportunity. And we find those projects for you, so you don't have to worry about that.
A lot of our courses have really good guest lectures from industry as well. I have a number of people coming in from companies and also from universities to give guest lectures on particular topics and talk about pathways into careers. So that's built into our course delivery.
If I wanted to do a maths bridging course along with the HCCC, should I say the right amount of C's? Anyways, if I wanted to do that, would I do it alongside it, or would I have to do the bridging course before and then do it?
You'd have to check the current requirements. When I did this, it was some even more than 10 years ago, so the pathway in that process has probably changed now. But back when I did it, I did a kind of semester-long course before I started my first year. But I'm not quite sure. You'd have to check what the current setup is for doing that.
I think it is clear. I've read the instructions before, but I can't remember them. It is clear on the website for all of our degrees, particularly the BIT or BAC, would have some clear link to that. But it's certainly something that our student services will be able to help you with.
Are there any paid work opportunities within the computer science for the students on site while they're studying?
I'll take that. We have some very large courses and we hire a lot of casual staff to work on tutorials. So that's one of the things that our really wonderful, talented students end up getting into. There are also opportunities to be research assistants or sort of research software engineers, particularly in our software institute. But it's certainly not something that we offer to every single student to have paid opportunities, but in our courses, often the tutors will be third or fourth year students, and we certainly hire a lot of tutors to cover our coursework.
There's also opportunities at the college level to be a college ambassador as well, and other of those kinds of opportunities with marketing and outreach and engagement.
Is AI and machine language a part of this HCCC course?
Could you say that again?
Artificial intelligence and machine language, machine learning.
Okay.
There is opportunity to take electives along with these courses, and so we do offer a lot of machine learning and AI based courses, so that's up to the students to choose. But also there's one course we didn't talk about, which is bias-biased computing, which does actually combine machine learning with human interaction, and so that's a direct way to integrate it into the human-centered computing stream as well.
I'm very interested in procedural animation and movement in games just in general, and I was just wondering, what can the course provide in terms of that for me for game design?
So I suppose animation tends to be more on the art side of things, and I don't know if we're aware if there's anything in the School of Art that could be taken as an elective, but there's certainly could be opportunities within the games course to explore that, but it wouldn't be the focus of the course.
I think we've got to wrap it up. So we're at 11:40. Do you want to sign it off? Or?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if we could get a round of applause for Jennyfer, Penny and Martin. Fantastic.